Coming up, Dallas honors Dirk with a win and Kyrie returned to the court. This is Locked On Now NBA.
The biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
What's going on, everybody? You are listening to Locked On Now NBA, local experts with the biggest stories on the hardwood. I'm your host, Daniella Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Our Locked On NBA hosts are here to help break down everything from Wednesday in basketball. The Dallas Mavericks honored one of the NBA's all-time greats and beat one of the NBA's best teams in our biggest game.
The biggest game.
The Dallas Mavericks honored the greatest player to ever wear a Dallas jersey last night, and the Mavs came out and beat the Warriors to celebrate Dirk Nowitzki in a big way. Locked On Mavericks tells you how Dallas beat the West's best team with many of the team's greats in attendance.
The Dallas Mavericks come away with a big win for Dirk Nowitzki. Nick Engstead from the Locked On Mavericks podcast here, joined by Isaac Harris up in the press box, and the Dallas Mavericks get a massive win against the Golden State Warriors, but it's all about number 41 tonight. Dirk Nowitzki gets his jersey retired in the rafters at the American Airlines Center. It's an incredible night. So many different ex-players, former players are here to celebrate with him, but Mavericks come away with this win. It's a massive one for him and for the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic comes up big for the Mavericks. Jalen Brunson gets some big buckets late, and this team played some incredible defense. Steph Curry had 2 points in the first half, had 10 points in the third, but still could not come up as big as the Warriors needed him to in the fourth quarter. The Mavericks were stifling on that end, switching around, moving around, just getting the Warriors to do the things that they wanted them to do. An incredible game for the Dallas Mavericks. We'll break it all down tonight on the Locked On Mavs podcast with this guy.
The Orlando Magic lost again on Wednesday, but Orlando also continues to show signs of progress and potential. As always, Locked On Magic was their post-game to keep track of all of it.
This is Philip Rossman, the host of Locked On Magic here from the Amway Center as the Orlando Magic lose their 7th straight game, falling to the Philadelphia 76ers 116-106. Look, this team is close. They're really close. It's very, very clear how close they are. They've been losing a lot of close games of late. They're starting to get healthy again with Cole Anthony back in the lineup tonight, and it showed. Orlando played competitively. They were in control for much of this game. They had an 11-point lead. They gave that away, but they fought back. They took the lead into the fourth quarter. But this is a young team, and they made a lot of young mistakes. They had 19 turnovers that led to 28 Philadelphia points, a lot of those coming in the fourth quarter as Philadelphia built up an 11-point lead. Orlando again fought back. They had their chances at the end, but again, too many mistakes, too many turnovers, too many missed shots at key opportunities, too many points just given away, missed free throws, again, turnovers, just bad fouls. Eventually, just not enough to stop and slow down Joel Embiid. Orlando is getting there. They're getting close, but the results just are not there quite yet. So the Magic fall to the Sixers 116-106. We'll have more on Locked On Magic coming up later on.
Kyrie Irving returned to the court for the Brooklyn Nets in Indiana last night, and he, of course, became the story of the game, even with Kevin Durant pouring in 39 points to lead Brooklyn to the win. Our Locked On Nets host tells you everything you need to know from the game and the return of the controversial point guard.
Doug Norrie, Locked On Nets here coming at you after a 129-121 victory by the Brooklyn Nets over the Indiana Pacers. Story here, Kyrie Irving is back. 22 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, a plus 16 in his first 32 minutes after 206 days on the shelf for the Nets. Brooklyn got down way early in this one, had to storm back, but absolutely put it on the Pacers in the second half, 69-48 to win the game going away. Scary hours back in Brooklyn. Team started firing on all cylinders, looked absolutely unstoppable. We are going to be covering it all tonight and tomorrow and every single day over on the Locked On Nets podcast. Go check it out.
Coming up next, the reigning champs lost for the 2nd straight game, and the Hornets put up a big number on the Pistons. You're listening to Locked On Now NBA. It's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. And if yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, but maybe even better than that actual candy bar. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, just 4 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs. And of course, they are protein packed with 17 grams of protein. Compare that to any candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Throw out all of those sugary or calorie-filled treats and replace them with Built Bars. So when you're craving a snack or a treat, you can reach for something that's healthy, but also tastes incredible. And there are so many flavors to choose from: coconut, almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, mint brownie, and so many more. The list goes on. In fact, Built is always coming up with new flavors, and they're always available for a limited time. So check out built.com to see what's new. Go to built.com. You can check out all of those new flavors, and we even have a promo code offer for you. Use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off at built.com. Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Locked On Now NBA. I'm Daniella Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. The Toronto Raptors handed the Milwaukee Bucks their second straight loss last night, thanks to our best performance from Pascal Siakam.
The best performance.
Hold up.
The Toronto Raptors won their 4th straight game and got back above 500 by beating the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks last night, who lost their second in a row. Locked On Raptors tells you how Toronto got the win in Milwaukee.
Back above 500, Sean Woodley here from Locked On Raptors to break down the Toronto Raptors 117-111 win over the Milwaukee Bucks to move to 18-17 on the season. It's their 4th straight win as well. And the big takeaway from this one is that Pascal Siakam is currently playing the best basketball of his career. You know, he had obviously that wonderful most improved season back in 2018-19 when the Raptors won the title. He was a third option on that team and was fantastic. The year after that, he leveled up. He made second team All-NBA. He averaged nearly 24 points a game, was a great scorer, not so much of a playmaker, but didn't have to be because Kyle Lowry was at the peak of his powers on that team. Last season, a bit of a lesser scoring season for Siakam, but the playmaking came along in a big way. And this season, you're seeing it all come together without any of the hiccups, without any of the poor decision-making and really, really rough, wonky shooting lines that we saw last season, and in particular in the bubble back in Orlando when he really, really struggled against the Celtics. In the Bucks game tonight, he goes for 33 points, 5 boards, 6 assists. Over the last 5 games, he is averaging 24.8 points, 11.2 boards, and 6.6 assists. He has been the best player for the Raptors, and that's really tough competition because Fred VanVleet has also been incredible lately, but Siakam's recent run of play is the best we've seen from him. And if he keeps this up, this Raptors team looks like they should be able to rattle off some wins. Yes, they need to play some teams that aren't without stars and important players. There was no Giannis tonight for the Bucks. They played a lot of COVID-stricken teams lately. But hey, they played in Tampa last season. They had themselves a really rough go with COVID. I think karma's kind of coming around, and eventually they will get some tougher games on the schedule here to see, hey, how real is this 4-game winning streak? How real is this starting 5 where Scotty Barnes is playing center and you've got all this sort of length and defensive mobility and versatility? It's all very exciting, and I'll have more from this game broken down on Locked On Raptors tomorrow, so be sure to tune in.
2 of the best big men in the league faced off last night when Rudy Gobert and the Denver Nuggets hosted Nikola Jokic and the Utah Jazz. Our Locked On Jazz and Locked On Nuggets hosts tell you who came out on top in one of the biggest battles of the night.
Without their big men, the Utah Jazz have to play a totally different way. The result the same, a road win, their 10th straight. Hi, I'm David Locke with Locked On Jazz. Without their regular pick and roll game behind Rudy Gobert and Hassan Whiteside, the Jazz had to find a new way to score and win tonight, and Bojan Bogdanovic was the answer. 36 points for Bojan, but with only 1 3-point shot. He's usually the sharpshooter off the Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley pick and rolls, but instead tonight, 36 points on just 1 3, 11 of 13 from the free throw line. He also added 13 rebounds for his first ever 30-10 game of his NBA career. Royce O'Neal added a big 3 late in the ballgame at 13, as the Jazz also got 18 points off the bench from Rudy Gay, as the Jazz played without a center for most of the evening with Hassan Whiteside and Rudy Gobert out, and they hold off the Denver Nuggets. For the Jazz, it's their 10th straight road win. It's the 3rd longest road winning streak in franchise history.
Trae Young took a break last night after scoring 56 points earlier this week, but the Hawks still beat the Kings on the road, and Locked On Hawks tells you who stepped up in the star point guard's absence.
Hello friends, my name is Brad Rowland. The Atlanta Hawks go on the road to Sacramento to pick up a much needed win on this Wednesday. Final score of 108-102 over the Kings, and the Hawks got a lot of contributions across the board. 6 guys in double figures. It was a balanced effort, and part of that was that Trae Young was unable to play in this game with a back issue. He was a late scratch in this contest, so DeLon Wright had to start, played 40 minutes and played very well at the point, and then Kevin Huerter came off the bench kind of strangely in this contest, but played excellent. 25 points to lead all scorers for the Hawks and 11 rebounds, a season high for Kevin. He was all over the place, made big plays down the stretch, and the Hawks had balance. They had good defense in this game. There was some help from the Kings for sure, with their offense kind of scuffling at times, but the Hawks did play a much more complete defensive game than they have in the recent days, and that led to a victory in this spot. We'll have more on this game and much, much more on the Atlanta Hawks on Locked On Hawks podcast.
The Boston Celtics lost a game of inches yesterday as Jason Tatum's potential tying lay-in bounced out in the final second of the game. Locked On Celtics gives you all the details from a devastating finish in Boston.
Hey there, John Corrales here from the Locked On Celtics podcast. Boston Celtics lose to the San Antonio Spurs 99-97. They had a chance to tie it at the end. Jaylen Brown with a miraculous steal on an inbounds pass that turned into a fast break layup opportunity, contested, but he got a clean look and it just didn't fall. Afterwards, he just said, I smoked it. And that was very, very disappointing for the Celtics, but not quite as disappointing as their typical fourth quarter struggles, which really included a whole lot more ISO basketball than we were seeing earlier in the game, a ton of assists earlier in the game, and then those all kind of went away. And then it was a lot of Dennis Schroeder taking shots, which the Celtics just don't need. A lot of isolation basketball. And then the Spurs converting on the other end, getting switches that they wanted. And basically DeJounte Murray, the box score says he missed, but I didn't see him miss. He hit everything, all the clutch baskets it seemed like. And the Spurs come away on a back-to-back where they got blown out by the Raptors. They come in here to Boston and get the win. The Celtics were looking for 3 in a row, but this is another tough loss for them. Another tough loss that comes with everybody back. Jason Tatum struggled in this game. 19 points, but 6 of 20 shooting, 1 of 6 from 3. So some rust, which I was afraid of before the game, and it definitely showed itself up at the end here. Tatum struggled. Jaylen Brown was really good. Marcus Smart was excellent, but the Celtics just couldn't get the win here. I'll talk about it on the Locked On Celtics podcast, so make sure you are subscribed and watch the show on YouTube.
The Detroit Pistons were flying high after beating the Milwaukee Bucks earlier in the week, and maybe they were flying a little too high. Detroit followed up that win by giving up 140 points to the Hornets on Wednesday, and Locked On Pistons is not looking forward to telling you more.
$32 points to Kelly Oubre. $140 points to the Charlotte Hornets. 59% shooting from the field and 57% shooting from deep. They made 24 three-pointers. 140 to 111 after just beating the Bucks. You let up 140 points to the Hornets. You guys want me to recap? Do I have to recap this? Nah, No, we're done. Turn that off. Nope.
And that's a wrap for us today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. For more on the association and your team, make your second listens Locked On NBA and your favorite team's local Locked On podcast. I'm Daniella Bruce, and this has been Locked On Now.